2, 3, 4. Alright, Neon, John Mayer, Where the Light Is version. First things first, take your 6th string and take it down to a C. There's a harmonic on the 9th fret of the 6th string, and it matches a harmonic on the 7th fret of the 5th. If you get them similar, you got yourself a C, or you can just go 3rd fret of the 5th string. Get the nice octave. Alright, to begin with the picking for this, finger picking, he doesn't use all his fingers, he just uses his first finger and his thumb. So I'll just take a spin through the whole tune slow so you can kind of see what we're going to learn, and maybe check out the finger picking. So he's jumping over the strings that he doesn't need to play. He's not doing this kind of thing. He's going, oops. So let's just take a look at the first 8 notes of that sequence, and then we'll look at them really in depth. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right away you see there's a slap. There's a couple slaps throughout the song, but they appear on the 5th note of that sequence in parts 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The other thing you'll notice is the last 2 notes of that sequence are just the open 6th and the open 4th, and that allows a transition down to the next chord shape down there. What else can we talk about up here? We'll just loop it, I guess. We'll loop the first 8 notes a couple times so you can kind of get what's going on. I'm kind of doing a little chord here. I'm fretting the 8th fret of the 2nd string and the 10th fret of the 4th string, and that's kind of starting me out. And then when I get there, I take that finger down a string on the 10th fret of the 3rd string, and then pump the 2 open strings. What else can we talk about that part? So I talked about the slaps. He accents a lot of the index finger notes, so it's kind of like, you'll see that throughout the piece. So that open, those 2 open strings allow us a lot of time to move our left hand down and fret the next chord sequence, which is, I'll put the tab up. I won't explain too much where your finger should be, but again, it's with the slap on the 5th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Let me just call out in that first bit. I meant to do this, the index, thumb, thing. So it kind of starts with thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index. So you really see this alternating of these 2 fingers. So we did the 2nd chord. The 3rd one is more openness to allow us to slide up to the next bit. So from the top, let's just loop that first bit again a couple times to get that. Again. Same thing with the next position. And then the 3rd position. And then that little chord run up. You notice I'm fretting with my thumbs here. We might as well talk about the John Mayer Monster Monkey thumb thing. He frets with his thumb all the time. If you don't have a huge thumb, you might be at a bit of a disadvantage. You can change the fretting. Yeah, there's ways around it, but Later on, you'll see that it's kind of beneficial to use the thumb because it gives you an extra finger down up high for some of these chords, which if you were fretting it in a non-thumb way, you'd kind of lose out there. I'll explain that when we get to that. Another thing to be aware of with that part of the tune is the driving bass line. Yeah, so it's... So you want to respect that, keep it going, don't forget that that's a big part of the tune. What can we recap there? Oh yeah, okay. Down in the third bit here, there's kind of like a happy accident. Instead of going high-low like this, high-low, he reverses the order of those two notes and goes... And it's a really nice sound. It's very subtle. You'll miss it unless you're listening for it. I'll do that slow. You know what? I'll play the whole thing through. First pass will be the normal way, and then the mistake way that sounds so cool. Seems to be the second pass through. He sometimes throws that in. And again with the open strings to facilitate the... Now coming out of this bit into the pre-chorus, he tends to rush it. So let me play that slow. That kind of doesn't do anything, eh? That kind of thing. He rushes it. He doesn't complete the whole chord. He's kind of like... And then he does an open 6th string and then 4th string pump before going into this bit here. But we'll move on to that in the next section. I almost forgot one other thing. When he's starting off the tune, he actually does a big slap. So instead of picking it, he's actually slapping it. That kind of thing. I like to add a left hand percussive slap to keep time. Like that. So on the CD you'll hear him do this. Like but I like this. Left hand bass slaps give you a lot of oomph, help you keep time. They sound kind of cool. So you got the option to start off every instrumental part of the verse like that with a slap. Okay, the pre-chorus. This is where you get your thumb stretcher out because he's doing a ridiculous kind of 8th fret thumb and sounding this kind of chord. And he's using his thumb and index finger picking routine again. Nice movement as we move the thumb from our 8th fret to the 7th fret. And then finally this crazy one is the hardest one in the song. 6th fret with the thumb. Let's just slow that bit down again. I barely fret that 6th strum. I can barely do the stretch. Some of you might find alternate fingering for that. But I'll tell you later why it's cool to do it with your thumb. Okay. Back into the main theme. Do that twice. Coming up out of that, just before we start singing again, instead of going... he does actually some chord strumming. He goes... I'll demonstrate that. And then he's in the singing verse. When he goes into the pre-chorus the second time, he's doing something a tiny bit differently. He's still fretting that ridiculous chord, but he's actually taking his pinky and fretting the 8th fret on the 1st string. The second time he passes through the pattern. that gives him an extra nice high singing note. So the first time he goes through like this, that's the comes and the goes, comes, no one knows, no one cares. Second time through that, he's got that high note added on there. And he goes to it. And then he goes into the chorus. So let's just look at that little high note bit again. So the crazy thumb chord, first pre-chorus. Much as before, you can really improvise most of this. It's the second pass he throws the high note in there. And then this is strummed. And then he's got that always buzzing just like neon. We'll go into the chorus next. Okay, the first chorus. It kind of starts with that. Back in his verse. So slow, kind of. You sound these two open strings, and then the chords. A lot of muted strumming like that, accenting the downstrokes, and then this hammer-on chord. And the low C, heavily accented. Kind of muting the fifth string because that doesn't sound too good. But second time they do that rolling hammer-on chord, the rhythm is different. And then the third time it's shortened, and then these hyper. And then this crazy little lick at the end. It's like a country lick. I'm going to just play it for you because you're not going to believe that's actually on the recording. So that's slowed down a bit. Let me speed it up real time. And let's slow it down to 25%. So what I'm hearing there is but when you look at the video, you swear he's got his hand in one chord position and he's pretty much doing this. He's doing a bit of hammer on with the third finger. So I think actually the fretting of that one is we're doing kind of like a two-note thing here. And then on the 6th fret of the 4th and 5th string, and then just accenting that as you go out of it. Live, on other recordings, he just kind of does this chord, and he goes, just like some comping there that's different every time. Then he goes back into the main theme. So let's just go over those chords again. So different rhythm. Shorten. That's actually a. Try to slow that down. It's hard to do it. You usually spaz out. We're just hammering on here at the 9th fret from the 8th. There's a lot of spazzing out in this song. After that, we have the chord verse. So the chord verses. So instead of going. One of the passes through, he does all these two-note chords. and he kind of changes up the jazzy, just these little jazzy comping chord snatches, things like that. So let's just play through real time more or less, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So the first chord snatch is basically these 2-note chords, and he starts off like that. He really waits a lot on this note, so you change those up a bit. Now you start the second pass at the second 2-note chord, so instead of starting here, we're starting the pass here, continuing it down, and he's back up at the original starting point. So and then back to the normal way of playing it. So, what can I say about those chord snatches? They're basically, second time he plays that, it's, and he's basically pulling a lot of 2-note chords where he can. So instead of arpeggiating that, he's going with 2 fingers when he can. The tab kind of explains it more or less. And again, we go back into the pre-chorus after that. And that's pretty much the same. That leads into that interlude that's covered in my other tutorials. At one point, yeah, I guess coming out of that whole interlude where he's like that, like that kind of stuff, he's he comes out of that pre-chorus strumming everything, and then a chorus. So that's pretty much the only difference. That's the meat of it. Hope you enjoyed it. That's how I hear it.